This episode of ArcaSpeak is supported by NCARB. You have the power to influence the future of how architects are educated, trained, and licensed. Take the Analysis of Practice survey today. Cormac, we have a problem we need to discuss.
Uh-oh. What'd I do now?
You posted a picture on Instagram.
Oh, yes.
You've got a problem, and this isn't time for an intervention.
It's not that many.
How many does one need?
All.
Got to catch them all.
All of them. Every time I go into, so I'll say that. Let's say that. Okay.
Let's drag this out a little more. Yeah.
I had more, and
so you're feeling good about this quantity.
The one that So let's let everybody know what I'm talking about. And for those who listen to this show who don't follow my Instagram, I posted a picture of a very small smattering of my Lamy fountain pens, and it was just
a small These are the ones you know where they are. All
these
the other ones are in various locations and or lost.
Well, they're just in various locations, undisclosed to me.
Yeah.
And so I posted a picture of just a mere 6 Lamy pens that I have.
Just the ones that you know the whereabouts of.
Just the ones that I know the whereabouts of, and which is kind of funny because
How many do you think you have?
If I said between 50 and 20, that would probably be about right.
Jesus.
And to be quite honest with you, there's only one. If I had that one left, that one pen, I probably wouldn't have bought all the other ones to try to fill that void.
Oh, so you're comfort buying pens. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had one Lamy pen.
What? A Lamy pen is like a midnight snack for you.
Yeah. It was a fine nib. So it was one of those ones that I used all the time to draw and everything else. And it was a special edition, and it was orange. It was made 1 year.
Sounds like the perfect combo.
Came in, left, went away, and I used the appropriate blue-black ink. And so there is no other ink. And if anybody else uses colored ink or black ink or blue ink.
I see some people have used like green, like this weird green ink. It's like an emerald green. I'm going to pull my ink out right now so I can read you the label.
So the only one that I have right now that is not blue-black is I have a red pen, and I have red ink in it because I use that red ink to redline things.
I just have straight up black. Sorry. Disappointment. Noodler's ink, though. It is
Noodler's ink. Now, Noodler's ink is good ink. It is good ink. But, you could have, zhuzhed it up a little bit with the blue-black.
I'm not going to buy another bottle of ink until this one's gone. And at that point, I will buy blue-black. How many bottles of ink do you have? Or do you buy the refillable cartridges? I mean, non-refillable, the disposable cartridge, which is highly unsustainable.
So I have, of the 6 pens that I have 3 of them with refillable cartridges. And then the other ones I don't actually have. I have just the disposable ones, but I had a lot that not just stuff that I've purchased, but people are like, hey, somebody gave me this thinking that I had this kind of pen, and I know you carry it. So here, do you want it? And so I've actually had a handful of those.
So you are the dump site for other people's Lamy parts and pieces and refills. So, I mean, that's not a bad place to be. I mean,
no. And I'll say that, of the 6 that I showed a picture of, 3 of those I purchased. The other 3 I was given.
Truly are the dump site for Lamy pens.
Don't be judging me on,
Wait, okay. So you said that there is a Lamy store in Germany, and you have been to this mecca.
So flying back and forth to the Middle East on my current project, I fly through Frankfurt. And in the Frankfurt airport, there is a Lamy store. And you go into that Lamy store, and I drop to my knees and weep at how much money I could lose just by spending, like tons. However, the awesome thing, they're actually cheaper than they are in the States.
And these are not expensive pens. Like let's just throw this out there. It's not like you're collecting Rolex watches here. What are these things? What give us a typical breakdown? Because I do have one Lamy pen, which is all one person actually needs, and I bought it maybe 10 years ago. I don't know. It's been a long time, so I don't even remember. It was probably $22 or something.
So of all of the pens that I showed, they were all Safaris. There are other styles of Lamys.
You shut your mouth.
But Safari is but Safari is really the only one. There can be only one, and it is Safari. And so I think that they probably range between, like you said, the 22 to maybe $35-$40 if you get like a.
This is the best deal
one
of German precision that you can get your hands on right
exactly. I mean, I can't afford an Audi, so I have a Lamy.
Yeah, 4 letters, 2 syllables. Yeah. German brand. Audi? No. Lamy for those of you listening and are looking it up on your favorite online store right now.
Yes. And
as a lefty and using a fountain pen, this has to be a particularly kind of, I mean, obviously you have feelings and thoughts about this, and I've seen the way that you write. I know, and you have particular notebooks that you use because it's a wet ink and all this stuff. You have like a full on dedicated system to this.
There is a method to my madness.
I don't have to deal with any of that.
Yes, because you live in the right-handed world, whereas I don't. So, and spiral binding, of course, as we all know, is the 5th level of hell, especially if it's the side binding. But because as you just said, I write odd. I am not a traditional left-handed person who does this little like hook over and kind of like writes from the top down kind of thing, because that's just weird. My hand does not move, and I just draw and I just write.
Your hand doesn't move and your fingers just stretch.
My fingers just stretch.
You just go
over the course of my.
That's just crazy, man.
5-inch wide reporter's notebook that has the binding on top because I don't use anything else.
Whatever works for you, man.
It's all about me, man. All about me.
That's awesome.
So yes, my name is Cormac Phelan, and I have a problem.
The first step is admitting that you have a problem.
Right? With Evan, who thinks I have a problem.
I see you rolling your eyes right now. I mean, not literally, but not that I can see you. But
oh no, I did.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. So I other architectural news. I went to an old project that I designed. Stopped by, took my wife by to see it. She's like, "Yeah, you've taken me here before."
It's just like, "Oh, I got to show you this." Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, I've been there, done that. We didn't go out of our way to find this thing. It was just there, and so it's this aquatics building for a high school in Riverside, California. It was funny because I was just telling my buddies a story about this the other night at happy hour. I was like railing against the PM, and I think this is maybe the meat of the topic for this show, which is, hey, why are the lights that are supposed to be, in the ceiling of the roof surface mounted?
Mm.
Oh, well, we changed the direction of the structure. You what? Yeah, it was fine. They asked if we could do that. The structural asked if we could do that. I said, sure, do it. And I my point is, I didn't find out until it was done. And I see these gross lights on the underside of my structure, on the underside of this floating roof with like plastic lens. I mean, I know I sound like an architect right now, and it doesn't ruin the project, but it kind of ruins it for me. Right. And that was the thing. It was just like this lack of communication and this senior PM who just wanted to handle it all and didn't want to communicate and didn't want to be part of a team and just wanted to be kind of this Lone Ranger dude. And And that's what it brought me back to, because I brought my wife to go see the project, and I did not point out the lights to her, but I happened to be in the area right after I had talked about this project. Have you seen this kind of behavior in project teams, in studios, in offices before? This that I'm describing?
The you actually just like peeled off like several Band-Aids that I've tried to keep on and hidden.
It's time to change the dressings. You know, you got to do that every once in a while.
Yeah. I don't know how. I mean, there's been times where I've taken over projects, especially like, there was a few that hey, you're the new guy. This guy just left. He was the project designer, project manager, and he was doing the CA, and it's now yours, and you're gonna play cleanup. And there's times where you're just like looking and just like, why did we do this? You kind of mutter under your breath. They're like, hey, architect, new guy. Why did your firm do this? Or, it automatically becomes yours. It's like, well, why did you do this? And you're like,
you look over your shoulder, like, I just got here. Were you not part of that discussion?
New guy. Exactly. But, there's the times when, there's the disconnect between the, like say the project designer, project manager, and the CA person, where when you do make those changes because say the project manager from the construction side of things or something, they're like, hey, this was miscoordinated, or we had to run this way instead of that. Is it okay if we, like in your case, there was this one project that we had that I inherited, and they had all of these flush mounted or just, like recessed lighting in a composite aluminum panels. And then you go out there and you see that everything is surface.
This is exactly what happened.
And that they're asking you, how do you want to trim out the sides of these? Because they're still using the same recessed light fixture
that now looks ugly
surface
because it's incorrectly installed. Yeah.
Because now it's surface mounted.
We bought those a year ago. We still want to use them.
Yeah. And so then you just like are like, I don't even know where to begin with what you just did.
Yeah. It's crazy, right? Like this, and it is interesting to kind of think through how it gets to that point, and what the skills of said individuals are missing that need to be developed, or that I would hope could be developed, but I don't know, man. And so I think this gets to kind of this idea of certain individuals who work for architecture firms who do CA and who are dealing with submittal requests and RFIs and change orders and all these things, get to a point where they're trying to avoid a lot of that stuff at all costs. It costs time, it costs money, but they go about it in a way that they're trying to be the contractor's friend in that situation. And they are so agreeable to the contractor to be cool with the contractor, and to, I don't know, it's kind of a fake relationship at that point, but it's like they even get to the point where, and this doesn't happen all the time, but they're actually throwing the people on their own team at their own company under the bus to look good in that situation. And that is inexcusable to me.
And the thing about it is that you look at, like some of the resolutions, and it's because they want to avoid conflict, or they want to just keep, the liability down to a minimum when it comes to the relationship between the client and the, contractor and the architect. And you look at things like that and you're like, well, but what we're really doing is we're doing a disservice to the actual client, because when let's just say these surface mounted lights were something that they may have said, hey, we really want these recessed lights.
They were paying for that design.
They were paying for that design. Right. They've paid for that design. They have paid
for it. Yeah.
Now, there have been some times where, a solution has had to be probably not a very favorable one. But if you
work through that together. I mean, I guess that's where we're.
But
go ahead.
Yeah. Well, you work through it together, but this is the time where I would sorry, I know that this isn't where we're going, but I mean, this is the time where it's like, well, if you're not able to give me this design, then you need to give us the cost back for you not being able to do that design. That's a different topic altogether.
Well, and there are a lot of ways that this could go. There is that. There is also, I can't get the information I need when I need it because somebody else is busy, so I'm just going to make a decision. Like this happens all the time.
Right. Oh, yes, definitely.
But it seems to me like, yeah, there are multiple people in this equation who care about the outcome who were not talked to. Not even an email, not even a text message, not even a phone call. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that I've gone back to several people with, which is, you've got my phone number, right? And if you call me, I pick it up. Like, let's just have a short conversation. There is never an excuse that there's not enough time to even talk about this. And that to me is the biggest missed opportunity, which leads to, expectations or disappointments in the making, right? I expected the design and the outcome to be one way. And when I finally got out to the site, nobody warned me about this ahead of time at all, not in any way. I get to see it with my own eyes. It's way too late. Let's take a quick break to share more about our sponsors. NCARB's Analysis of Practice Study is your opportunity to shape the future of architecture. Participate in this industry-wide survey to share your experiences and insights from working in architecture, engineering, or construction. Your feedback will help guide changes to what being a licensed architect looks like and impact how architects collaborate with other professionals in the future. Whether you're an architect or you work with architects, NCARB wants to hear from you. Make sure your voice is heard. Contribute to the Analysis of Practice Study today. Sign up at ncarb.org/AOP. And now let's get back to our conversation.
So two of the project architects, myself and another person on our team, we were out on the project site, and she had worked really hard to do a lot of coordination of a lot of different wood finishes and things like that to make sure that we went back and forth to get the right mock-ups, the right, graining, everything. And this was a big deal. This is like, the big feature element of this project. And it's huge too. It's not like, a small, like just a little bit of trim. These are these big, massive acoustic wood paneling that are, I don't know, probably, let's just say about 30 feet high, that then wrap into the ceiling, that then is about 50 feet wide. And it's this whole area that's probably about 200 feet long. And so it's a pretty massive space that have all of these. And the one thing that we coordinated a lot with was the microperfed acoustic panels, because of the performance that we were trying to achieve there, they couldn't do them in a wood veneer. So they had to be a laminate. And so before we even approved the laminate, we got the laminate samples, big laminate samples, and said, all right, try to find the wood that will match all of this. Did, countless different things and all this other stuff. And we, got it matched, approved all the different mock-ups. They went ahead and fabricated in Switzerland the microperf, panelings, the acoustic panelings, installed all of that. And then once that was installed, they then started fabricating the wood. So, and all the wood was actually what was, transitioned from the ceiling and then came down along the wall and basically came all the way to the floor, in a 1.5 height space and all this other stuff. So it was really, really visible. Let's come around in the corner. Sure enough, she rounded the corner first. And all I could hear was, what the... and I'm pretty sure everybody can fill in the rest of them. As loud as you could possibly imagine. And it echoed throughout this over 100,000 square foot building. And everyone stopped. It was just like, what? So we round the corner. We see the mismatched wood. She yells as loud as she can. and then everybody stops. And so while we're there, basically the poor guy that was supposed to be in charge of all of this, who unfortunately was in a hospital while all of this stuff was going on, and somebody else ran it, and instead of when they realized that it was the wrong color, made the command decision to go ahead and keep making the rest of the wood panels and install them. And the guy came out, the owner of the company came out. He was looking, he was just like incredibly embarrassed at what happened. And there's no going back, because now you're literally telling somebody, a small business, hey, you just did well over a $700,000 screw up, and then ultimately at the end of the day, it's going to cost you
to just replace it
$1.4 million,
right,
and everything else. And so then how do you like reverse that? Because not only do you have,
so what color did you paint
it? We didn't paint it, but graciously every time one of the user groups came through, they were so enamored with what they saw on the wall that they never looked up to see, how it did not match with everything else. And so what did Cormac do during the document, the drawing, or the photographs? I'll get to what I was doing in a second. So did I take it into Photoshop a little bit and do a little color correction so that it could be possible?
Yeah.
I think I might have done that, because, oh my gosh, it was so bad. Like, put up a piece of like walnut.
All woods are the same. I don't know what you're talking about. Give me that naughty pine.
Yeah.
I called walnut out. That's T&G pine. That's good stuff.
Yeah. It's just like, you could have just put T111 up there for, it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah. That's good.
And so that's one of those ones that I've made a pact with myself that it's going to be a very long time before I go back and visit it, because I don't want to be reminded of that pretty big, massive, mess up.
T111 is like the white bread of.
It's not even white bread. It's like the
Ritz cracker. Like what is it? What do you mean? These are sandwiches.
It's the generic saltine.
Yeah. Oh, well, and if it does make you feel any better, my story does have a happy ending too, which is I can't even say that with a straight face. They have erected like an 8-foot tall iron fence that tees into the building, so you can't actually really see the building behind the fence. It's like when I went there the other day, I was like, "Where'd this fence come from?" Oh my goodness, it's enormous and jail-like on a high school campus.
We always say like the savior of bad architecture is good landscape.
Yeah, it can be, right? And what do we do? The budgets get so slim that you put 5-gallon trees in.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you need to have a little asterisk that at the bottom of the page in very small print it says in 20 years.
In 20, exactly.
It's truth, and the truth hurts. I went to this. I designed a whole campus, K through 6 campus, and got to I'd visited the site several times through construction, and it was just turning out wonderfully. And until the day that I went, when they were putting on the metal siding, and most of these buildings were actually covered in metal siding. There was a little bit of exterior plaster here and there, but mostly like they actually wanted these higher end finishes. Why? Because maintenance, durability, and maintenance. And the metal panels that we chose, this is a very rural kind of agriculture. It was an agricultural area, so there was this heavy corrugation to the building sides, and there was this kind of barn red color that we were using in various places. There was probably 4 or 5 different finishes that we had chosen as far as paint colors go, and some had like a metallic flake in them, and some were kind of just a semi-gloss and whatever. Well, instead of barn red, it was like copper. There's these giant
Hmm.
And it was on, man. Like it was not coming off. There was no way that they were going to be, well, we could change that if you really want us to, but that's going to be really set us back on the schedule. You know, you get that whole guilt trip over, yeah, we snuck that by you, and now we're going to use this excuse to make sure that it stays there because we got it at a discount. That's what happened. Like the metal company couldn't sell this stuff as fast as they wanted to. They made the contractor a deal. The contractor swapped it out and just put it up as fast as possible because then all the flashing goes on top of that, and then the roofing goes on top of that. And now look at what it would take to swap that out and get it to the color that you designed it at. Oh my God, what a ridiculous situation.
We have this building that recently went up not too far from our office, that as it was going up, they're putting up this copper metal paneling as kind of this design feature that is kind of prevalent throughout this multifamily or multi-story apartment condo complex. And I keep looking at the corner, and the corner is like it's on a curving road on your way to Fort McHenry. So there's all of these visitors driving by and everything else. So this corner is literally like the most prominent thing that not only residents, but also tourists and visitors that are coming into Baltimore off of that exit to go to Fort McHenry will see. And so I'm looking at it, I'm like, why are they putting up dented panels? I'm like, well, they're probably putting.
They run those over before they put them up.
Oh, it's bad. You're
not just talking about oil canning, I assume.
No. This is they were like clearly smashed in.
Oh,
and they put them up.
Deconstructivist Cormac, jeez.
And then they kept building, and I was just like, they're not going to leave these up. I mean, they're obviously going to.
These are just temporarily installed.
And then a year goes by. And the building is long since open, and the denting on this corner, on this very prominent corner, is still there. And I'm like, okay, obviously it's just some shipping problems. They're ultimately going to see them.
Who did the punch list? What?
So you go back, fast forward 2 years during COVID, and now I'm going back to the office on occasion, and sure enough, it's still there. And I'm like, so y'all were just like, all right.
Yeah. Wow. Brand new building. It comes with dents.
It's like, wow, this is like amazing how they just are like, you get.
That's an amazing level of incompetence, and it's solidified for decades onto the side of a building.
Exactly. You're just like, wow, I can't believe that they did that. And they just, somebody on the architects team probably put it on their punch list, and at the end of the day, it's probably not them, but probably the client, the contractor, just like, oh, we'll fix that, big air quotes, we'll fix that, and then just never did. And so now they literally
I had a library project like that where they came up, we had the whole punch list, and the contractor just walked away without doing any of it and didn't take their last 10%.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen that so many times.
And it's just like, there are so many problems all over the place, and nobody will do anything.
They're like, it would cost me more to fix the problems
absolutely
on the punch list.
Totally what it was.
Than it would be to just get my 10%.
Yep. Absolutely. Labor, materials, and it was things that they did that were not on the drawings anywhere. It was just like artistic choice to paint this giant mass yellow, and there's absolutely nowhere in the documents that it calls out to paint. It's like, no, leave it just the raw material. That's how it was designed. Now what are you going to do? You're going to have to sandblast this whole thing, and guess what? They decided not to. All right. Wow. This truly is an episode of Tales from the Trenches of architecture.
I will say, however, on a bright side, there was another project that I had where I had architecturally exposed structural steel, and it was all primary steel, which means that it needed to be intumescent painted if it was going to, and with it being for the fire rating, and because it's AESS steel. It's supposed to, there's a level of finish that was, expected. And we've seen, and I'm sure you've seen, and everybody's seen, like intumescently painted steel, which looks like somebody spread chunky peanut butter all over it.
Right, exactly.
You know,
there's a reason they hide that inside of things.
there is very much
things.
So, but
Yeah.
we had a mock-up, and they did the mock-up, and it came out beautifully.
And then a different crew actually did it.
And then the different crew came and the different crew did it. And so it looked horrible. Like you couldn't see any of the transition joints. You couldn't see anything. There was like bolts that were so gooped up that you couldn't tell that they were bolts. They looked like, big pimples and all of this other stuff. And all of this stuff should have been exposed. And so as we're going through it, and they're just like, they tried to like fix it, that particular crew, and tried to fix it. And then they tried a different crew and tried to fix it, and they just couldn't fix it. And this is, steel that extends, 35 feet in the air as well.
They're just eating their profit time after time after time to get it right.
I did have the support of the client, because they were like, look, this is the feature, is all of this exposed steel. It creates all of these arches and everything else. It's kind of like, it is what makes this building. And we were promised this level of detail, this level of finish, and we didn't get that level of finish. We want that level of finish. And awesome to the, kudos to the crew. They listened to me, because I said, I hate to say this, but I think there's only one person who will be able to actually do all of this. And they're like,
it's clearly no one in this room.
Well, it's just like, look, we've tried, and I get that we've tried. And I was like, and there's only one trade that I think is going to be able to come in here and fix all of this. And they're like, okay, we're listening. I'm like, you got to get an auto body, person.
You got to get a sheet metal artist.
They got
a Bondo artist.
Exactly. They got an auto body guy come out here, and they, it took them a little bit longer to finish, but they finished. And surprisingly enough, they actually finished on budget.
They made it right.
They made it right. And it looks great. I mean, it really does look good. And those are these details, these just like simple details of like using, because this was a university that does collegiate Gothic, but wanted Gothic in a more modern flair. And so I was using the structural steel to form the arches and all of this other stuff. And it was like, and it really came out nice. But it was, and they put in the extra mile to actually do it. And so when you walk in there, you look at them like, yeah, that's a detail that I'm proud of, because you can actually see the detail. You can see and it's the feature. And you're just like, yeah, this is good. So
I'm glad that you ended this series of rants with the silver lining story.
Because even though we did say that we were talking about all these nightmare stories, there are those stories out there that it actually does end well for you.
And just to reinforce this, I think, in a different way, when it came to those surface mounted light fixtures, and when it came to the wrong metal panel on the building, never heard a word from the client about it. Never a word. So sometimes we're more picky than we need to be as well, but
or to just
everybody hit it really well,
or just completely ruin, ending on a high note. And we had one where the client asked for a value engineered substitute for a product. They got that substitute, and that product was substandard. And when we had, like through colored, evenly fired terracotta as the primary rain screen system, and they wanted to go a different route for cost implications, you get what you pay for sometimes, because now every single time we work for that client, they say, as long as you don't do that. And they're living with that, because it is sort of their choice as well as, but we get blamed for it.
Sometimes people get a little, they want to save the money more than they want to save the long-term effects. Yeah. Save money now, pay for it later.
Mm-hmm. See, that's a different conversation altogether.
for another show.
More Tales from the Trenches coming up.
Right. Thanks to NCARB for their support of this podcast episode. Visit ncarb.org/AOP and contribute to the Analysis of Practice survey today. Thanks for listening. This show is part of the Gable Media Podcast Network. See all the shows at gablemedia.com. That's GABLMEDIA.com. You can help support what we're doing here by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts to help get the word out, and don't forget to share it with your friends. We'd love to hear from you, so leave a comment on the website at archispeakpodcast.com, where you can find our entire catalog of shows. Talk to you soon.